Hey, Joe, how are ya?
I'm very well, Carlos. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, it's been I like the progress of our podcast so far. I noticed that we've had some other countries, as I said, in Germany.
Germany. I don't know if that's you've got some. You were just recently there, just a month or two ago, and so I didn't know if you seated us an audience in Germany.
No, this is Frankfurt, actually. So I was in Berlin, but this is a little suburb of Offenbach in Germany. That's kind of cool. And then, and obviously Mexico, too. There was one from Mexico.
Very nice, very nice. And if you're listening to us while you're on a trip or something, or you're out of the country and you're a White Shadow fan or a old television fan, give us a shout. Hit the little send fan mail button. Doesn't have to be positive. It can be whatever your thoughts are. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and also look forward to, as I work things through, some special gifts for us listeners that you can sign up for.
Absolutely.
And I'll give more details about that on the next podcast.
Yeah, we got some little special Easter eggs available for listeners coming up.
Yeah, so there we go.
All right. I have a question for you because the next two episodes involve something where I've always pronounced the word tournament, but there are those that pronounce it tournament. And Ken Reeves on the show is he says tournament, which the person that I first heard saying that, I don't know if you follow poker at all, but there's a young man, Phil Ivey, who's not as young anymore, but still pretty young in the poker sense, but he had the moniker of being called the Tiger Woods of poker for a long time, I think just because of his ethnic background, but he's also a great poker player. But the first one I ever heard say tournament.
Maybe it's our Midwestern upbringing, Carlos, but tournament is the only way I've heard. I didn't notice it when I was watching.
It's one of those things where I once had a coworker who someone said, notice when they said the word across, they say across. And then I heard it, and then I hear it all the time from people. So now you'll be paying attention to the pronunciation of the word.
I shall.
But in our first episode here called Airball, Coach Reeves has a little surprise for the team. They've been asked to substitute in for a team at the last second in a tournament up, I think, in Northern California.
I believe it's, yes, they're going from L.A. to San Jose. Do you know your way to San Jose?
San Jose, yeah. And they, so this is one of these ones, a fish out of water, hilarity ensues as Coach Reeves. First of all, he needs to get his nemesis, Miss Buchanan, on board. And he plays it kind of fast and loose. They just kind of did it like he knew she was going to come up with the cash for it. I have no idea how much it takes to fly a basketball team to San Jose, but I'd imagine it's not cheap.
Yeah, far be for me to correct you, Carlos.
Yeah, okay.
But it was the Las Vegas trip with episode 10 where they go back and forth. In episode 9, the fees were covered by the tournament because they were being the replacement.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the correction. All right. Yeah. So on this one, whoever they're filling in for, but Ken Reeves has to wrangle his basketball team onto an airplane.
Yeah, and one of those things that I found quite curious about this particular, so is this sort of maybe none of them have ever been on an airplane, that was clearly stated. So that's a commentary on the social economic status, I think, too, as well. And then some things depicted at the airport or airplane were quite real even to this day, like when they're going through the safety features of the plane.
Yes.
That could have been last week. I've been on a plane.
Yes.
But then the other things that were a little farcical is that Ken Reeves says, meet me at the gym at 8 a.m. sharp. The plane leaves at 9.
Yes.
Good luck.
I realize there's no TSA, but there's still what the production team was able to grab and call a metal detector that they had to go through. But before that, one of my favorites, which reminds me of an old young lawyer story, is the players encounter a flight insurance machine.
Yes, that was something that I don't have any memory of. Is this something that you
there was, because there was the old story about the young associate in the law firm who sends the associate across the country to cover some deposition and says, here's $20. Get me some flight insurance. Me as a beneficiary, I'm feeling lucky. So, but those little machines, those little kiosks, I don't think they still exist at airports, but I always knew they were there, and I only knew about them because of that joke that I heard when I was in law school. But It was a thing. They did not think it through. They thought they were going to be rich by having the flight insurance, and they did not realize
that they'd all be dead.
That they'd all be dead to cash in on it.
But no, it was that. Yeah, that was an interesting particular take. And then just the other thing for something from 26 that's kind of jarring is they go out and explore the airport.
Yes.
And they just leave their bags.
Yeah, they leave their bags, and the coach has all their tickets, right? He checks them in. There's no IDs. There's no anything.
Yep. So that was...
Which actually, I think that's the way it was, though. I mean,
it was. I can remember just going... I remember using my dad's plane ticket to go somewhere that he had extra, and they didn't ask for my ID.
It used to be a thing. This is one of those ones where it's, okay, old man. Back in the day, we had these things called newspapers, and they had these things called classified ads, and people would sell the vouchers and stuff because it was just a piece of paper, and you would sell the tickets, and it were like a movie ticket. It was just like you hand it to them; they're not looking to see who it is or anything like that. So that part is realistic. It's just the world has changed so much that it seems completely bizarre.
Yeah, and it was there. The other thing that struck me in terms of their dress. What did you think of that? They were,
what? I think that, and we see them get even better in the next episode. They dress up, but that was a thing. People used to dress up for planes back in the day too. Yeah. Now it's like whatever pajama bottoms I can get.
And did you notice what Coolidge's accoutrement was? It only appeared every so often, but you didn't see it a lot, but you only saw portions of it.
Yeah.
It was a little piece of fashion that was based in the 70s, and it wasn't a hat.
Bandana? No?
Yeah. He had, and go back and watch it, he had a walking stick.
Oh, nice.
So he had a little stick that he had that I was like, boy, you're gonna take that on the plane with you, Coolidge.
And Goldstein packs multiple suitcases for this day trip.
Yep.
Including matzo ball soup, which I believe would not be allowed by TSA in a carry-on.
And was it roast beef sandwiches?
Roast beef sandwiches and stuff.
I had termed this the further sillyization of Abner Goldstein.
But actually here before season end, we actually have an Abner Goldstein centered episode coming up where we get some more backstory on his life.
Is this the one where they talk about Russian dressing, or is this another episode? That's one of my biggest memories of him. Maybe that's season 2.
It may be. So they're on the plane. How old were you the first time you were on a plane?
Well, that's a good question. I would say that I was 13, 14 years old, somewhere in there. 14 maybe.
Yeah. I was about 10. I remember our family trip. It was out to Arizona, and so we went over the Rockies, which is for your first flight going over the Rockies or Chicago, you're going to get some turbulence. So there was some big turbulence. I remember my dad's father, who I don't know had been on many planes, was screaming as we're going through it, but I don't recall being frightened at all. And actually, I was impressed with the players, considering they hadn't flown, and their very first flight is they encounter an emergency on the flight, unfortunately.
Yes, and that is something that kind of hits home for me in one sense of the word. They didn't know if they could get the
landing gear down.
The landing gear down.
Yeah.
On one flight that I had taken to Washington, D.C. as a college student to go Earth Day and visit a friend's wedding. So this would have been in the late 80s. As we took off, they wouldn't go back up the landing gear. We flew all the way with the landing gear down. And that was on the famed Midway airline way back in the day.
Midway Airlines, sure.
And it was those guys had, and that was, I thought, how they handled that.
Yeah.
Some of the realistic ways with the
they had them back then. I would imagine they've got to get visual inspection, and they would actually look as opposed to, because typically, not a pilot, never been a pilot. It's something that happens. It actually happened in the last couple of weeks where, the indicator lights say that the landing gear is not down. It is usually a detector failure. But if it's not, what they do is they bring them in for a belly landing, assuming that they won't stay locked when they put the foam on. And like I said, it's been in the last week or two. Some small plane had to do that. And so that is what potentially they were dealing with, because they had a problem with one of the landing gear. The co-pilot comes out, they remove a panel from the center of the walkway, and he looks and he says, "We're all green or whatever. We're all lined up and we're all good."
Yeah, and I thought Kenny was right there for us all as making sure that he got the
and you know what? All the players volunteered. Give go all your wallets and all your valuables into this bag.
Right. The other thing I thought about in terms of this episode too, where there was that particular instance, the kids helped out, but also did you remember the kind of serious conversation between Coolidge and Jackson? So,
okay.
I can expound. Coolidge and Jackson were sitting next to each other, and Coolidge is saying, "Hey, man, why do you always act so tough? Do you know?" And because he was being tough because he wasn't really scared of this particular plane thing. And Coolidge gave him some examples of when you piss off that big guy and we had to come save you. And so it was Coolidge as the voice of reason that said, "Man, just be yourself. You don't always have to act so tough." Was one thing that I thought was a little side thing that was
it was a little side thing, and actually episode. This may well have been the next episode, because the next episode actually doesn't involve a plane, so this may have been Haywood having a conversation with Reeves saying, "So what's your story? How long are you going to stick around, man?" Haywood's he is probably the, I don't want to say the brightest, but the most aware, I think. And so I think he's aware, okay, how long are you going to do I worked in the inner city thing, so you can say you did it and move on to greener pastures, because you got to have greener pastures than our crappy little school, is the impression I got what Haywood was saying. And he goes, "I don't know."
So I think that was this episode, and because he lost the short straw, I had to sit next to him on the plane. But Haywood asked him and said, "Hey, if UCLA or some college came calling, would you leave?" And Reeves said, "Yep, probably." And he goes, and Haywood says, "Good, because if you didn't, I think you'd crazy."
Yep. But UCLA is not calling a guy who's had half a year coaching at an inner city high school either. So that's the reality of it. But I'm imagining that will be a theme over the next couple seasons, is Reeves having opportunities or the grass potentially being greener. I don't remember specifically, but I have to believe that has to be a concern everybody has. But once again, we talked about it as the show setup. They just kind of said, "Okay, suspend belief. Guy was playing NBA basketball is now coaching high school and inner city, and just go with it." But I thought it was right. I thought that it's right about too. It's about the time in the relationship where he's all right. You're cool and all, but how long are you going to stick it out?
Oh yeah. And just to circle back to the Coolidge with Jackson.
Yeah.
I forgot the other topic they talked about was death. They talked about what to think about with death, which I'm not going to spoil anything, but is a theme throughout the series as we go along.
Yeah, it is. And that actually is potentially, or not potentially, it's a realistic differentiation between the reality of these kids and my reality and your reality.
Yeah.
Death wasn't something that was coming to our contemporaries. It wasn't a worry we had.
Yeah.
And we all have lost friends at various points in our lives, and sometimes it's too young and it's tragic and stuff, but it wasn't a worry. It wasn't something that was happening on the regular as a kid, where I think particularly it gets worse in those inner cities as we get into the beginning of the 80s and the mid 80s. It's my ex-wife for her PhD. She's just it's a critical discourse analysis, right? Just trying to understand it from the other perspective. And so that's always something I have to keep in mind.
The other thing that I thought was really realistic, because I was thinking this myself, putting myself on that plane, was like, hey, we're 2 minutes from San Diego.
Yeah. Why are we
turning around and going back to Los Angeles? Yeah. And the sobering answer was because there's not enough hospital capacity. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's pretty serious stuff for network TV, right?
Yeah. And it's realistic too. It's like there are disaster plans. There are contingencies that our healthcare community has, right? If there's a mass disaster, it's going to require multiple hospitals. And so there has to be a plan in place. And so I would have thought that one of the reasons was because they want to burn or dump fuel.
But I suppose you could just talk about that. Yeah.
You could just easily dump it as you can burn it. It's a little pro tip. If you live near an airport, you can usually finagle free car washes by saying that you had gas dumped on you.
No, I've never heard of that. I do have what I call the salami of not the character, but the kind of the salami of the thing that didn't quite ring right. Again, and this is also the beginning of Thorpe. and his reputation, or trying to be a ladies' man, as he's trying to trying to make time, so to speak, to use a phrase from that era. He says something that they didn't catch in the editing room. He said, "This is the plane to San Diego."
Oh, wow.
And I just thought that was interesting because obviously everyone knew it was going to San Jose. I had to listen to it twice, but he did say San Diego. And I don't know, maybe it was a joke and I didn't get it, but yeah, this is and then in the next episode we see the further Thorpe as ladies' man continue.
Oh yeah, they're going to Vegas. There's actually a couple of elements of that. So we're in the next episode. They're going to Vegas. They've been invited to a tournament in Las Vegas, and this is where Reeves sweet talks his nemesis, Miss Buchanan, for some cash. Because basically he did the old puppy dog close in sales, which is like he told the players about it already. Yep. And then she said, "Oh, tell them they can't go." It's all of the faces.
And she didn't know. I thought that was, not realistic in one sense of the word, but like she's arranging rooms at Ed's Motel off the strip.
Ed's Motel off the strip, Then the other thing is they're going on a bus, and Pam happened to be in the room, and she goes, "Are they going to prison?" It has to be the most ugly-ass bus I've ever seen in my life. I don't think it was air-conditioned.
No, plus it was an interesting bus in terms of, I wasn't quite sure if he was driving it or someone else was driving it. I think he didn't because I saw him walking out of the bus at the end. But I thought that was interesting. But again, hey, how about those outfits, huh?
You know what? They clean up nice. They look good.
Yep.
They're wearing the hat. They're all looking good. They're styling in Vegas. And when they the players come up with, is this a Thorpe production again? The players decide, you know what? We get other students to give us a bankroll, and we'll just make money because it's Vegas and they're giving away money. Right?
That's right. I thought that was like, well, who are these people trying to give these geniuses money? But they're only talking about $1 from a whole bunch of students.
Yeah, so $1 from each kid was the plan. And then a very, very Indies image of kind of the big tough mob kind of guy running the casino going, "Let me see your IDs, kid."
Yep. And they got rejected from a few of the nicer casinos. Very realistic. And then they finally
very realistic, but they find a place where it's, whatever. Coolidge has, I don't know if it's a library card or what, with some name on it. And the guy's, okay, whatever.
Yes, Mr. Ferguson, right this way.
Ferguson,
I think it was Ferguson. But no, it was, that wasn't, they get there, they take the bus, they're all jazzed up to get to the casino, and then obviously reality hits them in the face when they start.
Yeah, they do. The person I was with didn't laugh, which makes it even funnier. But Penn Jillette said, she goes, "The entire city is built on the fact that people can't do math." People keep coming. I'm always honest. And I go to Vegas. I go to visit my money, see what they've done, how they've invested it. But then is it No, it's Goldstein that is an expert poker player. Is that what's happening in that scene?
No, there's no. They all lose money.
They all lose money.
Coolidge has a little bit of a run at the craps table.
Okay. Yep.
And that was one of those particular pieces too, as well. And then. They
ended up with money. How did they end? Was it just because they found a wallet? Is that all it was? I thought they had some other cash.
So this is what I call this is the rise of the actual character Salami. This is the most time he's ever had on camera. And if you notice that his little clothes were so stereotypical Irish, you could have your little sweater shirt and the old flat cap. Not that he's more Italian, obviously, but I just thought that was interesting. But they lost all their money because he won money early, Salami, and then he lost it all. But then they went out and panhandled. And Salami's reasoning was, I'd go up to a guy with a pretty girl on his arm, thinking he didn't want to look cheap, and they made money that way.
Oh, wow.
And then they lost that too. They gave it to Thorpe. They lost that too. And then it was Goldstein who found $6,000.
Dollars, yeah.
Yep.
And the very typical scene. I don't know why people count money out on the bed, because someone always walks out when they do that. And so, and of course, Reeves busts them the first night. Because their first game in Vegas is like 8 a.m. the next day, and they're all out till 4 or 5 in the morning. So they're all dog-ass tired. At halftime, they all want to lay down, and Reeves is laying into him. And he's, and by the way, I know you guys went out last night. Which honestly, why he didn't realize that was going to be the issue with these kids. And then he said, we're at least going to try the loser's bracket. You're all being in bed by 8 tonight and this and that. And of course, they go out again.
Yep.
And then they've got the money. And then Reeves walks in the room and sees them counting the money going, what the hell, guys?
Yep. And Ken Reeves goes, hey, we're going to go back and we got to give it back, gentlemen.
Opie Taylor finding a wallet would have been the same trope of you got to go back and give it back. They made it interesting. The guy's a complete and total not nice person, we'll say, to keep our clean rating on our podcast. He's if there's somebody whose wallet you wouldn't want to necessarily return, it probably is that guy.
Yeah. And his was the trope that he was the gruff owner.
Yes.
And slightly racist, you could kind of say.
Yeah,
we don't cash welfare checks here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There was no dog whistle. He was just straight out there with his stuff. But
then again, at the end, he's the heart of gold.
Yeah.
He gives them $550.
Yeah, so they can at least pay back everybody. And then Reeves says, hey, Thorpe, I will give you the money tomorrow at school so you can hand it back, because Reeves is starting to learn a little bit.
Exactly.
Kids. But I did see when they get off the bus, Thorpe, is that the girl who said she was pregnant? She's still all over him.
It was, I don't know if it was the same girl, but remember he was at the beginning of that episode. One of the reasons why he wanted to make money was because Jackson had given his girlfriend a gold, and she wanted one. It was her birthday, and the day he got back was her birthday. And
of course, Reeves has the cash.
Yep. And Thorpe could not buy her anything. So as you can see, the penultimate scene of the show, he opens his suitcase with all the things that he lifted, robes, things from Ed's motel.
Yeah. I have to tell you, my mom, she didn't take TVs or bedspreads or anything like that, but every damn ashtray and matchbook across America for our road trips. We had a house full of Ramada Inn ashtrays and Holiday Inn. And just a massive thing of matchbooks. Matchbooks is one of the things that I miss as a society that we've lost. Not that it's good what people were doing with the matches, but I just felt like matchbooks were very much Americana because they would symbolize stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I remember getting matches from, obviously smoking was much more prevalent back then. I remember being a busboy at My Pie Pizza in Golden Valley.
Okay.
And I had to put the matches, I had to open them a certain way and put them next to the ashtray a certain way.
I had a busboy when I was working at TJ Fridays who taught me the trick so you could snap and shoot matchbooks across the room.
Oh, I never did that, but no, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, because he would walk, he was a waiter, but he would walk past the kitchen lines and then he could hit people all the way towards the end of the line. It was for 16-year-old or 15-year-old Carlos working in the kitchen. I'm like, that is the coolest human being I've ever seen in my life.
And they do it. And isn't that right, though? That sometimes you just kind of see that and somebody just strikes you like they're the perfect moment of their skill and you're amazed by it and it gives you the feeling that they're...
And I think that you encounter that sort of feeling a lot when you're younger. You're like, oh, because when you're that age, you're trying on personalities and things, and then you see somebody that's really cool, and then you maybe look underneath a little bit and go, maybe their situation isn't as cool as you thought. Because when you have the perspective of not having any obligations and then working a little bit, you got money and you think, oh, life's great. It's because you don't pay insurance or mortgage or rent or any of that stuff. So if you could just use your paycheck for whatever the hell you wanted, life would be amazing.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say.
You go ahead. Look at that. Over each other.
You know what? We've actually managed to do a pretty good job here through, I think, 5-6 episodes of not doing that. But I didn't know if you had anything else on this episode, because I do have a trivia question for you. It involves Minnesota sports.
I do have several things, but not too
go ahead.
Brief.
Go ahead.
So the show Salami for this one is Russell Philip Robinson, who is an actor. He plays the team manager, Phil Jefferson.
Okay, he's the one who's always up in the stands and not dressed as a basketball player.
I double-checked today. In episode 9, he's in the airport.
Okay.
Episode 10, he is also in the locker room after they're very tired, handing out towels.
Okay.
Wherefore, when they're counting all that money in that room.
Yeah, where is he? Where
did he go?
Yeah, so, what was he doing in Vegas? That actually is a good question. That's a very good question.
I was thinking to myself, what happened to these guys?
Did they even maybe he didn't get a room at Ed's. Maybe he had to just hang out at the airport till the game.
I was just like, huh? But no, it was
That's
it was good things. And then I always like to look at the cast to see who may be someone interesting. And this character, and this is a shout out to anyone who are White Shadow fans, because this goes beyond my knowledge and research ability. Mykelti Williamson was in episode 10. And really? I don't know what role he played, but to get you to know who he was, the shrimp guy from Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Bubba.
Yeah, and I don't know what role he played in this episode. And then there's another episode down the line where he is in it again, but as a different character.
Oh, wow. I'll have to look.
So if anyone out there knows what role he played, myself and Chat GPT, or actually Claude GPT, could not figure it out. But that was interesting. And also in that particular, in the episode 9,
yes,
2 people, James Gallery, who Abner sat next to, Goldstein, guest starred on the Hill Street Blues in St. Albans. Yep. And the object of the affection of Morris was that she was the flight attendant. She was on Hill Street Blues too as well. You see
the interconnections with Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, you can see these patterns that kind of come across too as well. So I think for me, this episode was the rise of Salami. And again, this bonding of this particular group, and they don't do everything right, but Coach Reeves is there
and obviously they were no different. Here's the thing is they were no different than if you'd have brought any group of high school kids to Vegas. You know what I mean? This was not a uniquely inner city situation. I think because having been a minor on a spring break trip where they have casinos and no age limits, that's where we went because you're not supposed to do it. That's what you do when you're kids. So I felt that was a universal experience that they displayed because once again, you're too dumb to know that, no, you're not going to get rich.
Let's lay on McDuff with your.
All right, there is a universe, and you can call it a TV show universe, where the Minnesota Vikings were Super Bowl champions, defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers in the '75 Super Bowl. What universe was that?
What universe was that? Was that Coach?
It was not Coach.
It wasn't Coach.
It aired before the game.
It aired before the Super Bowl game.
Before the Super Bowl, it just basically, the characters were gambling on it, and even the star came out at the end and say, hey, if we were wrong and Pittsburgh wins, sorry about that.
Goodness gracious. That's a great question, Carlos. I know if it was before the Super Bowl, so we're getting into the 70s here. It's good. I can't even venture a guess.
Okay. Mary Tyler Moore. Lou Grant had a bet with Ted, and Grant bet on the Steelers. And he loses the bet on the show because the Vikings win the Super Bowl. It's the only universe in which the Vikings have won the Super Bowl, so I choose to live in the Mary Tyler Moore universe.
There we go. Well, I also read this on IMDb that when Ken Reeves is in the hotel room in Vegas and he's watching TV, the theme song is Lou Grant.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that show. That actually might be one that we throw out there.
Yeah. I remember Lou Grant and that woman who was red-haired reporter.
Linda Kelsey. I had a huge crush on her.
Yeah. Minnesotan. And then also episode 9, the San Jose flight episode.
Yeah.
Again, was another episode where the opening theme was more horns than it was
more jazzy, huh?
Yeah, the more jazzy one. So that was.
I'd really love to talk to just to see it going. Was that just an editor saying, "Hey, I'm going to jazz it up"?
Yeah. I wonder if it was like director's preference, editor's preference. But one of these days, once our podcast is getting out there, we're going to get one of these cast members, hopefully, who can explain. I'm hoping.
I've been trying to find the representation for Ms. Pickle, who plays Buchanan. She is in her 80s, but is still doing quite well. So my hope is, fingers crossed, that we're able to connect. If anybody listening has an entree to any of the people that were on the show, we would love to talk to them because this show, I don't know if you can tell, is a bit of a love letter to the White Shadow and to television that meant a lot to me as a kid.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you, Joe.
Another fun time, and we have a little bit more serious topic, and Miss Pringle figures in next.
It is. Actually, the next group of episodes are, just as a preview, when you get to 13, you're talking about mainstreaming people with different disabilities. That's wow. Once again, the show continues to not take the easy route. So with that said, Joe, it's been fun talking about forgotten television and the White Shadow, and I look forward to us getting together next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, Carlos.
All right. Take care, Joe.
Bye.